Hello and welcome back to another episode of Unlocking Your Financial Future. I'm Ben Schrock, and joining me today, we have special guests, Mike and Mandy Hamlin with Kitchen 212. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so we've known Mike and Mandy now, what's been probably 3 years-ish, somewhere in there. Yeah. And they own and operate a food truck, I guess, catering business. They do a lot of things, which we'll ask them all about today. But we're going to spend maybe 2 episodes, maybe one long episode. We'll see how it goes. Getting to know them a little bit more. What kind of got them into the business and to have them talk a little bit about their business, and then maybe break down some of the actual money side of things and talk about the business, the structure of it, and all that good stuff. So to get started, why don't you guys give me a little bit about your background? What kind of got you ultimately to the point where you are today? And I guess whoever wants to go first.
You're good.
Ladies first. No, Mike? Okay. Well,
Mike's
Mike.
good at the 212 story.
All right, go for it, Mike.
The way we got started was during 2020. We were in high volume hospitality. We lost our jobs.
Was that a COVID thing?
Yeah, we just being in high volume at the time. I mean, we were doing I remember I was an executive sous chef at Navy Pier in Chicago at the time, and we were doing a tasting for a client, and it was the few days before the nationwide shutdown.
Jeez.
The bosses all run out of the tasting. We're just all hands on deck. Nobody knows what's going on. Obviously, it was like that for everybody. And as more and more stuff kept getting shut down, in high volume hospitality, you're there to serve high volume, a lot of people. So it started out with being furloughed from our companies, with then a few months and after that in the summer of 2020 being officially terminated, because at the time nobody knew when anything was going to come back.
It was all slow the curve, or slightly, right? All the saying is going to last 30 days, a month, and it just kept rising. The problems kept going.
And it never stopped. And then it got to a point after we were terminated where there was no end in sight for it. So we were, and Chicago was getting scary with all the riots and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And with being from Northeast Ohio originally, we decided to move back, regroup, to see what we were going to do, whether it be go do sales in something else or just go be a line cook at a brewery or something like that. It was just, let's get settled somewhere else that's not Chicago, and let's figure out what we're going to do. And we had a lot of support from family and friends to start a food truck, and here we are. So it's been a whirlwind.
Were you guys married at that time?
We just actually got married. We got married in February of 2020.
Wow.
Mike accepted the position to move to Chicago right before we got married. We moved out there. I worked 3 whole weeks at the Hilton out there before I was terminated, and we were about 6 weeks into marriage, and so we had a very extended honeymoon.
So talk about getting thrown into the fire. My goodness, get married, get COVID.
So 2020 was a year to remember. Hard to believe we're coming up on almost 4 years of it now. And 3 years of the business, which is crazy. It's went so fast, and crazy to see how it's grown since then.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's your background, Mandy? What did you always work for hotels and hospitality?
Yeah, after I graduated college, I moved up to Mackinac Island in northern Michigan and did sales and events up there for a couple years. Then I moved down to Columbus and started in hotels in the city.
Okay.
That's where Mike and I actually met at that time. He was one of the cooks there. And then our we were in Columbus for about 6 years together. I was doing the same thing, hotels and sales and different events down there. And so we've made a good mesh for our background together with, we were a perfect match to kind of start this business.
Yeah.
Him being a chef and me having the sales and event side of things.
Complements nicely. Is that what you went to school for specifically, the hospitality management stuff?
Yeah, tourism, leisure, and event planning was a degree at Bowling Green I graduated from. So,
Sounds like a fun degree.
Yeah.
It always does until you actually realize the logistics of it all, and it's not just
there's a little bit more to it. I had a minor in marketing then to kind of back up that end of it, but a lot of the industry that I'm in is you learn as you go. Don't take much, unfortunately, from the college degree.
That's awesome. Mike, what made you get into culinary school and take that path?
Well, it was kind of a rocky path. I wasn't the best high school student. I actually ended up dropping out of high school my senior year. I was into, all the stuff that happens when you're a teenager.
Sure.
And as I was going through my 20s, I was kind of beating myself up. So I ended up going back and getting my high school diploma, and working on that as opposed to just getting my GED.
Yeah.
And then a couple more years went by, and I'm a laborer here in Northeast Ohio, and I had friends who were a few years ahead of me kind of doing the same thing, and I was just like, enough's enough. I want something better in life. And I'm not a tech guy.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who likes to work with my hands. So and I've always coming from a big family, I always liked to cook. So I looked into going to culinary school. And at the time, I had a friend who was doing a master's program down at Ohio University.
Okay.
And then the next town over from Athens, Ohio, is Nelsonville, Ohio. Sits in a nice little community college called Hocking College.
Yeah.
They had a great program, and I enrolled.
Awesome.
And I was a non-traditional student. I think I was 28 or 29 when I went, and I took it very serious. I loved it, fell in love with it, graduated. Mentor sent me up with a job in Columbus, and that's what got me to a bigger city. It's where I met my wife, Mandy, and then the career really started just snowballing on me.
Sure.
I was at one, within 2 years of graduating, I was already a I was already a sous chef at one of the largest convention centers in the state, and it just it's gotten me to the point to where I'm the best decision I've ever made was doing something for myself and being selfish and going back to school and doing what I needed to do in life.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and that's a good segue into, working for yourself. And I jotted down notes because I wanted to read this and ask you guys if you know what this is. This is a definition, and you try to define the word or find the word. The definition is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. Do you know what that defines? What word that defines?
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. And do you guys, I love asking this question and talking to other business owners. Do you guys, when you made that decision, I doubt in your minds, or even when you first started in your career path or graduated from school, you ever thought that I'm going to own my own business one day? And
Never.
maybe you did, right? But I never did.
Never once.
Yeah. And so when you got to that point, even when you took that leap of faith to start the business, you never really probably considered yourself an entrepreneur either.
No.
Right. It's just
Still don't really.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that literally defines what you guys are doing, which is so cool. And it's so, I oftentimes equate it to operating on an island, and you guys can understand that, right? Fortunately it's the two of you. You have that, and I know I work with Caitlin, my wife, and having some support there. It's not always easy to be operating by yourselves, and because the full financial success of the company relies on the two of you, right? And everyone needs money to live their life, so. Right. Did you guys ever feel like that pressure was on, or was it just kind of, hey, we're backed in the corner, we got nothing else to do, let's just do it and we'll figure it out later?
Kind of a little bit of both. I feel like we had so much support to get this started, which, I mean, looking back, it was kind of a pseudo joke about Mike and Mandy starting a food truck. Yeah. Then we kind of got thinking about it. We had clearly nothing but time for a few months during all of this. And then we thought, maybe this is a good idea. We should give it a whirl. Sure. And when we moved back, I was actually just got a day job as the food trailer that we have is custom built. And Mike got it done down in Georgia. So he was kind of in the process of getting all of that and all the permits. And there's a lot more to start a business than we realized. And I actually at that point just kind of got a day job because we didn't know what things were going to be. I was working for Penske Logistics, something just to kind of get us back on our feet at that time. And then we kind of launched everything, and it went from like 0 to 60 real quick, which was a great problem to have, but we didn't really have policies, procedures, or anything in place, which sounds ridiculous for just a team of two, but at the same time, we didn't know what we didn't know then, but we also just kind of hit the ground running, and looking back, wish we would have spent a little bit more time of figuring out a better path to get started. Like looking back, if I ever started another business or guided somebody how to, I would definitely look back and do things a lot differently now.
I think that's great advice, honestly, for anyone that's trying to, but the hard part with that is that doesn't pay the bills, right? The only thing that pays the bills is get in the truck and go and make food.
And that's what I think was so crazy. It was like we said no to nothing, which looking back wasn't the right answer either. There was pros and cons to it, but at the same time, it was like we learned so much so quickly. That
Literally
the end
learning
of
trial by fire.
yeah, by the end of 2021, we were like, well, we're going to end our first year of business with a divorce, or we're not going to have a business because, like, we got to step back and, like, really look at what we did right, what we did wrong. And then we also have to sit back and be proud of what we did accomplish. That was something I feel like we still don't do the best at, but we're trying to get better at that because we have came so far from the beginning.
I mean, our mantra really from like year one is kind of what Mandy said a minute ago. We didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
And as opposed to getting mad when stuff would happen, we'd have to let it just roll off our back and just tie our shoes tighter the next day and just try to start learning to expect what not to expect, if that makes any kind of sense, because it's really all it is. I mean, I couldn't do this without Mandy's knowledge of sales. Like, I'm a guy that, you keep me in the kitchen and I'll cook for you all day and I'm fine. I'm happy. Yeah. I'll do some maintenance. I'm happy that there's no way I could cold call or make the business decisions that she does. And vice versa. That's where we've learned, like after year one, we weren't recognizing each other for those small little things of how we were getting from step to step to step.
Sure.
And it's taken us to be a husband and wife at the same time as business partners to acknowledge that, and tell each other that we're doing good jobs and stuff like that. Because otherwise we're the only coworkers we have, and most people at any other day job, if you do something well or if a coworker does something well, you always congratulate that person.
Absolutely.
And it's different when that person's your wife, or your husband. Sometimes you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you don't want to give a compliment out, but you just got to do it for the sake of your professional and business relationship.
Yeah, what a better place to do it than on the podcast.
Exactly.
Well, and it was one day something would go wrong, and a good friend of Mike's, I should say, and he's an entrepreneur business owner as well, said something crazier is going to happen the next day. It's just, and I feel like once we heard that and realized that it was like, all right, well, the generator broke. What are we going to do? We're going to figure out how to get it fixed. The fryer went out. All right, well, let's pivot. It was just, it seemed to be one thing after another. We're going to continue to experience logistic issues or weather-related issues. Being a mobile unit, you don't know what you're going to encounter. It's completely different than having a brick and mortar, and that's something that we didn't think of either, first time.
100%.
The maintenance side of stuff, it's just little stuff, it's really easy for me to sell events, and service events. It is really easy for Mike to be a chef, and we realized there's about 1,000 other things that went into this. And, which has been fun, I would say now. To learn on the way.
Interesting.
Interesting
and good.
Maybe a better way.
And I think it's oftentimes, we struggle with that here. Caitlin and I, and we talk about it all the time, and we call it celebrating those victories, those little wins that we have, and taking the time to actually do that. It sounds good in theory, and it really is, but actually doing it's even better. And you guys, that's a great way to do it and celebrate those victories that you guys have had, because you guys have been awesome and successful in a short period of time, which is great. Do you guys, like, when you working together, is there a place and time where you just kind of unplug, or is it always talking shop, or do you guys have a rule? Hey, when we get home, we're done.
We do now.
We do now. Year one, obviously it's the biggest thing happening in our life. It took a worldwide pandemic to go back to like what we were saying, like a worldwide pandemic for us to become a business owner.
Yeah.
So year one, and it's not, it's letting the people in our life down, not wanting to let the people in our life down who have supported us. But now we've gotten to a point where, you just, you celebrate the good, but when the bad happens, you let it go and you move on to the next day, and just try to support each other the best way we can going forward. And it's not always easy.
No.
I'm sure you guys know. Running the business is great as it is and stressful as it is. We still have to remember to be married. So now when we go on date nights, we're not talking. We have that rule where we're not talking about the business.
At first, we were like, "What do we talk about?" I'm like, we got to go back to what we used to do.
We don't have kids, so it's not like we're talking about the kids. So it's literally like it's almost like dating again. Just trying to get to know each other.
It is because the business is your kid. It's your first.
That's what
it's
we
our
said.
first child.
Everybody always says it. When are you gonna have children? Well, we actually have a 3-year-old.
Yeah, right.
Very large investment. It's
It is, and it's always interesting in that dynamic of working with your spouse, and I say it and she can hear me, so it's all right.
Watch
But
what you say about it.
exactly. But no, it is. It's cool because I've always felt that no one's going to support your business more than your spouse. Doesn't matter if you have employees or not. Your spouse has that vested interest, and to have someone in your corner that actually works with you and actually married to is comforting. And especially when you're operating your business. I've always felt that. You can never get comfortable. They're always expecting something to go wrong or an issue, and the second you get comfortable and sit back and relax, that's when things start going bad. Yeah. So, as a business owner, you almost are always operating out of fear, and whether it's good or bad or indifferent, that's just kind of how we are.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome. Do you guys have issues with like from friends, family? I know we do. We talk openly about it. Where it's so nice that you own your own business. You can take as many time off as you want, or take as many vacation days. It must be nice to own your own business. You guys get that a lot?
Oh, all the time. Everybody's. I mean, even today, we told some friends that we were coming to do a podcast this morning. They're like, "Oh, it must be nice to just have all this leisure time and go be a celebrity around town." Which again, just good old fancy ribbing from some friends, but at the same time, I mean, it is great. It's what keeps us doing it. I mean, we've both had job offers ever since COVID ended to go back to Hilton for Mandy, and I used to work for Levy Restaurants, and I've gotten offers to go back, but what you just said is it. I mean, to have the freedom of out of the corporate cog, so to speak, is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to go on vacation in a few weeks, I mean, it's awesome.
That's great.
It's fun to be able to explain it to friends, though, when we take this off, we don't have PTO days. It's letting people understand that our world is different, that when we go on a 6-7 week stretch that we get maybe one day off, that's why we can take a week off in February to go on a cruise, or we can take a long weekend and go on a mini vacation. Like, we're in the hospitality world, our schedules are so unique of the different stretches. It's sporadic.
And you're on when people are off.
Exactly. I mean, we worked up till the 23rd this year of Christmas, and it's just a different world. But it's awesome that the advantage of just being a husband and a wife and no other team members and being a mobile unit, we can just close up shop and not have to, worry about that and focus on growing the business or taking a few days off or whatever that case may be. And
they don't realize when you do go on that cruise with friends that you're the only two on that cruise probably not getting a paycheck.
Correct.
Exactly.
Like, it's interesting concept. Wait, if I don't work, I don't get paid.
We don't have PTO coming in. We're not quite there yet.
Maybe
Goals for the future that we'll have that bank set aside. But right now it'll be Mandy checking her emails, hoping for that sale to come in.
Well, I think you also get in your guys' line of work that, I always thought how cool it is to be a chef. I love watching Food Network. I'm kind of weird about like that, and some TV shows. I'm like, that'd be so cool, and cool to be your major in college. But people don't see below that surface of what you guys really do behind the scenes. Cooking and preparing and selling events is part one. That's probably the fun part that you enjoy the most, and
the easiest.
The organizing of all that stuff that goes into something like that, I don't think they understand.
No, I think and it's something that at Hilton, I will even say, was sending a contract that was already created through Hilton, and sending it out and signing it and moving on and looking for your next deal. Here it was like creating that contract, getting the attorney to approve, and the back end of everything. It's like there is tremendous amount that goes into an actual event itself.
The planning and preparation. I mean, the party we've done for you guys a couple of years. It's the food aspect is great, and that is my fun time to have. But it's the planning. It's coming up with that timeline to make sure that the starches and the veg come out equally as hot as the proteins, which are fired last minute. And it's those small details. And then that's what separates good cooks from bad, anyways. But when we're doing it on the scale we're doing it, it's become I've definitely ramped up the pressure because I don't have a team of four chefs with a team of 25 cooks to help execute whatever vision's in front of us. When it's all on your own shoulders, and you're a team of two. And the stakes just automatically seem higher.
And I'm just a makeshift chef. Yeah.
She's come
I'm
a long
not classically certified.
Yeah.
I can cut an onion like you wouldn't believe now.
Yeah, that's cool because it's, again, like I said, people don't see that side of things and the side of that business. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's your name that it falls onto, right? The quality, the product is you guys.
And that adds more pressure.
It does. It does.
Well, and it even goes as far back as, and why would people know this? But it goes back to Mike writing the full breakdown ingredient list to us purchasing those items. We, again, being a mobile unit, we are responsible for purchasing these items. We don't have, a large truck delivering like what our old jobs were when product arrived, rentals to be picked up or different items that are reused. It's, generally a full day of prep before leading into.
Heck, having to wash the dishes after an event. I come from the culinary world where we had a stewarding team that would magically take the dirty dishes away, and they would magically show up clean. And
same with
it's just
linens.
those small things.
We would close linens and napkins out at the end of the event to launder. That stuff now we do. Pressing linens. So it's interesting.
The stuff you take for granted when you have a corporate job on such a high level like that. But again, I wouldn't change it. I mean, I've come to find the small task of doing the dishes very therapeutic.
Yeah,
helps me unwind after a long week or something like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I enjoy folding linens now. It's a mindless task that I don't have to open up a QuickBooks.
Yeah, right. You don't have to think
I'm not staring at emails or
I mean, it's just like,
Mandy hollering at me to get menus written.
Right.
Like
That. Or, and just like going to food truck shop now or for the catering list, it's mindless job that we can put in our earbuds and listen to a podcast or a sports talk and ram through Sam's Club and Restaurant Depot, and it's like, okay, this is sometimes nice.
That's cool.
It's a different way of doing a job than either one of us ever thought we would be doing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, we're going to kind of wrap up here part one. I do want to take this into part two where we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the business and, to have you guys talk a little bit more about the logistics side of things and visions of the business and goals and things like that. And, if anyone else has questions for us, you can reach us here at the office at 330-473-1060. Look us up online at www.baschrock-fg.com. And I'm going to let Mike or Mandy, either or, who wants to plug their business, how can people find you, contact you, and get a hold of you? Yeah,
you can reach us at kitchen212.com. All of my contact information is on there for email and phone number as well.
Excellent. All right, guys, well, stay tuned for part two. We'll be back here shortly. Thanks.